Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are we all doing on this Wednesday morning? This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are all doing well. Welcome to Good Morning with Reganelite and Prime Minister's Questions. Well, Deputy Prime Minister's Questions is today because the Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in Beijing. I think he literally just landed only a few hours ago, if my understanding there. I also just want to reference we're not going to cover all of Deputy Prime Minister's questions. I think what we're probably going to do is we'll probably do the 6 questions and maybe hear from Daisy Cooper, and that's about it. I'm not going to go through every single question because the thing with Deputy Prime Minister's questions is sometimes they could be very like pointless, and much more pointless than Prime Minister's questions, because what they normally can tend to do is just basically say, oh, I'll pass it on to the Prime Minister, is what they normally tend to say with it. So I will cover Deputy Prime Minister's questions, but I don't think we'll spend too much time on it like we normally do with Prime Minister's with normal Prime Minister's questions, for reference there, guys. So there a reminder that tonight myself, Van Man Talks and Daily Blase coming together on Van Man's YouTube channel. I will put a post up to remind people tonight of that. For some reason, I don't know. There's an option to collab with content creators. For some reason, my link is not working, so I don't know what to do with that. I'll ask him again about it. I'll try it again, but I'll myself and Daily Blase. So be an interesting show tonight. Van Man's running the show for tonight, so we'll see how that goes there as well. For those who are new to this program and don't know what we normally do, so normally we go about an hour, but we go over an hour because we cover Deputy Prime Minister's questions today. But normally for an hour we cover the daily quote. We have a look at the weather and what's happening with the weather, and then we have a look at what's going on with the news. Got a couple of different ones: Associated Press, Al Jazeera, Independent, Kiev, Independent, Guardian, African News, BBC News, maybe a couple more after. We'll see. Depending on the time here. So here is today's daily quote. Here it is here. You can see it's an unknown one for today. Here we go. There. And it is: faith and hope work hand in hand. However, while hope focuses on the future, faith focuses on the now. Didn't quite say that right, did I? I need to say it again. Faith and hope work hand in hand. However, while hope focuses on the future, faith focuses on the now. That sounds a lot better. Yes, Viper Scott, I need to do that. Please remind me near the end of the show. I need to remember to do that. That's really, really important because, people will forget. Tomorrow's one's a nice one. Tomorrow's one's a nice one as well. Very nice one there, indeed. So how we got in the chat before we look at the weather here? Give me a second here. Let me just make sure this is set up there. So we have got in the chat Motti Von Erich. Good to see you there. Good morning. Billy Kershaw. Viper Scott, one of our moderators. Dylan, good morning to you. Ellie, good morning to you. Scott Hayes, good morning to you. Rosemary, good morning to you. Witchy Goff, good morning to you. Guys, check out Witchy Goff's YouTube channel if you get a chance to. She does some wonderful stuff there. Anna, good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. And anybody else who is lurking in the chats there. Right, let's go to the weather and see what the weather is reporting today. For reference here, I'm using the bbc.co.uk/weather map. For those who are wondering what I'm using here, I've set it to today at 6 o'clock just for reference. So this is what the weather is forecast on our planet right now here. Plenty of snowstorms, plenty of winds, rain and storms in and around the globe. In North America, Yellowknife -22, Anchorage -6, Vancouver 7, San Francisco 13, Miami 18, New York -5, Ottawa -11, Mexico City at 18 there. South America, the same usual temperatures there, between 30, 31, 26 there, as you would normally expect, with plenty of rainstorms in between. Central and Southern Africa there, roughly around about the same temperatures as yesterday there, we can see. 29 to 22, 21 degrees there as well. Across the other side of the pond there, Auckland 18 degrees with Sydney, Perth 21, 21, and Darwin at 27 degrees there. Colombo 25, and in the Philippines, Melania 24 there. Tokyo 2 degrees, and Beijing at -5 respectfully there. New Delhi at 10 degrees. Tehran 8 degrees. Riyadh at 21 degrees there as well. Just zoom in. Reykjavik there at 3 degrees before it disappeared off the map there. Just for some reason it's being really slow for some reason, the computer. Apologies there. We got Madrid at 8, Lisbon 14 there, Tripoli at 20 there, Parmelo 12, Rome 11, Nice at 10, Bern at 2 degrees with plenty of snowstorms in and around the Swiss Alps. There you can see plenty of snowstorms in there. Some in Germany, some in France there, and much in Switzerland. This big rainstorm on the part of the Mediterranean there, coming all the way down to Tiaria at 13 degrees there. Rain and snow, shall we say, a combination of both there. Athens 16, Istanbul 12, Bucharest 5, Chistu 3, Zagreb 7, Vienna 3, Prague 1, Berlin 0. Warsaw is a -1. Very cold temperatures are here. Not as cold as it's been other times, but it's still very cold nonetheless on the Eastern European front. Kiev at 0 degrees, Moscow -8 with a massive snowstorm there across Russia. Vilnius -6 there, Volgograd -5, St. Petersburg a very cold -10, Oslo -9. And before we look at the UK, Brussels and Paris there at 6 and 6 respectfully as well. So like I said yesterday, today, guys, it is going to be mainly a dry day. Let's hope it stays that way. Yeah, so most of the day is going to be dry. It will be cold. The temperatures will dip. As of right, this is what we're expecting temperatures right now at 12 o'clock here. 6, 8, some parts a bit not too bad. But it may rise a little bit later on in the day. But a bit more into the evening there. You can see those temperatures late in the evening, guys. You can see those temperatures really dropping off there. So just to be aware of that there. Good morning, Kirsty and Mel. Good to see you both. Hope you guys are doing well. Going into the next day here for tomorrow night into the morning here. This is what the temperatures are expecting here in the morning. There is some rain and some snow dropping in the Highlands and Scotland there, but there's a little bit of rain. But most of the UK, including the Northern Ireland there, is also going to be experiencing some dry spells. Going into Thursday here again, looks like there is still some of that rain and snow in parts of Scotland. We can see up the top there. But again, on Thursday, most you can see here from these temperatures, not too much changing temperatures. Most of the UK, again, is going to be remaining pretty dry, which is pretty nice for change there. However, late on Thursday there, late Thursday evening there into the there we can see we've got this big rainstorm. Looks like it's going to be coming in, hitting parts of Ireland and Northern Ireland in the evening, as well as Wales and southwest England. It's going to be experiencing that. We can see those temperatures there at 4, 5, 6 degrees. There's not too much change in temperatures, but it's still going to be chilly nonetheless there. Peter, good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. Going into from Friday night into Thursday night, into Friday morning there. In the early mornings, there's some forecast of possible snow in parts of northern England there. Manchester at 4 degrees. Parts of Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland at the bottom there, looks like might be experiencing, southern Scotland might be experiencing possible snow there, is what they are forecasting here. Moving into Friday, early Friday morning at 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock here. This snowstorm here that looks like it's going to be coming, possible snow, possible sleet. Around northern England, southern Scotland, and parts, maybe some parts of central Scotland could be experiencing some snow from the looks of it here this Friday coming up here, with some potential rain spots here and there. There is some rain spot patches around central England and southern England, as well as a little bit both in Northern Ireland and in Wales on Friday morning. We can see those temperatures, though, staying roughly around about the same again. Moving into lunchtime again, as you can see, that snowstorm, that little bit of a snowstorm is going to be pushing itself more into central Scotland and not just down at the south there, you can see. And some of northern England is also going to be experiencing that as well. So there's snow is expected to fall this Friday in most of Scotland and parts of northern England there. Looks like we're forecasting here. Later on, it should move away, is what they're predicting here, and some patches of rainstorms going to be coming over Friday evening in other parts of the UK here. Overnight from Friday night into Saturday, There is going to be some rain overnight, but temperatures are roughly around about the same again. 6, 7, 5, 4. Not too much of a change there. Going into Saturday morning, there is some rain around the Midlands and the north of England, as well as some bits maybe in southern Scotland and maybe in the middle parts of Scotland there. But overall, looks like here for Saturday, yeah, apart from a few bits, most of the UK is going to be dry there, which is not too bad. Manchester's going to experience a bit of a snowstorm. On the eastern parts of Scotland, we'll get some showers there from the looks of it there. Probably up in the Highlands again. I expect some of that, maybe that rain will come and fall in there. But overnight on Saturday night there into Sunday morning, again, most of it going to be dry. There's going to be some dry spells in most parts there, but going into Sunday morning, will be a bit of an increase in temperatures, which is much needed because we've had the same temperatures for quite a couple of days here. 7, 8, 9 degrees here is what we're going to be having. Mainly dry and cloudy, but few parts of rain maybe at best there in some parts there. Moving a bit further on into Sunday evening again, mainly. So really it's a weekend of, depending on where you are, I mean, most of the UK is going to be dry for us, most of the UK. So it's probably going to be a good, if you're thinking of making some plans Wednesday, the weekend. Yeah, this is probably a good weekend to plan some stuff if you haven't already, guys. Yeah, there's definitely a good weekend to plan some stuff here. I would just have a quick look at Monday here. So Monday, forecasting some snow dropping over on the Highlands there. A few shades of rain on early Monday morning in southern England and perhaps parts of Wales and parts of Ireland there. But not a lot of it. Monday evening, though, parts of southern Scotland, southern Wales, apologies. Southwest England there is also could be experiencing some rain there. We'll have a look a bit more closer to the time on Monday. Probably we'll have a look again tomorrow and Friday, of course. But those are some of the temperatures that we're going to be experiencing. Yeah, so today, this is what we're going to be experiencing most of the day. So most of today, guys, should be nice and dry. Good day for a run or for a walk, or perhaps if you're working outdoors, won't be too bad, except the temperatures, of course. But mostly where you are will probably be dry. Same with tomorrow, depending. I mean, if you're up in the Highlands in Scotland, there parts you'll experience some snow and possible rain. But most of Thursday as well, you can see most of that will be dry as well. So that's the next couple of days. It's not going to be too bad for most of us, but it's just a case of the temperatures going to be dropping a little bit there. It's not too bad temperatures, I would say, for what we've been experiencing in the last couple of days. We haven't had a real, like, a -2 degrees, like, hitting those really, really cold temperatures. I think that's a really good thing. We've last experienced that, I think it was around mid-December. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong there. So, we've had cold nights, but we've not had those really, really freezing ones for a while. Staying around those temperatures, around 4 and 3, but not dropping below the 0 degrees, I think is fair to say there. Sail for Freedom meeting tonight with 2 indie cafes for anyone interested, says Rosemary. When is your birthday, says Ellie, asking Witchigoff when is your birthday. You got a birthday coming up, Witchy? Haggard's Peace Prize, says Ellie. There. And going for a long run shortly. Can't wait. Yep, be a good one there. Yeah, and that's a nice dry. It's a nice dry day out there. So that's pretty. It should be a dry day out there. So that'll be a good one there. Right, let's have a look at some of the news, guys. We got quite a bit of time. I'll obviously need to find a feed for the Deputy Prime Ministers because BBC Parliament are very slow when it comes to getting the feed up for Deputy PMs here. But let's have a look here. Oh, and just a reference as well, guys. If you want to add your name to the wonderful list that you can see scrolling, a scroll bar that you can see here. You can see it here where my finger is pointing there. All these lovely, wonderful people. If you want to add your name to the list, you can always do so by doing one of 2 options. You can join the Patreon for a small fee, or you can buy me a coffee. Link for one of those 2 in the description. Pinned in the comments, it's at the top, is also the buy me a coffee as well, and I will add your name to that list if you want to join the lovely, wonderful people who have supported me. while I'm still currently demonetized. Haven't got a response from the appeal, guys. They said normally up to a week. So if I'm expecting it today or tomorrow or Friday, I am expecting a response. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. So what we got here from the Associated Press. 2 federal officers fired shots during an encounter that killed Alex Pretty. DHS tells Congress. Stop ICE terror now. Yep, justice for them. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem faces rising calls for her firing or impeachment. Yep, Kristi Noem is really under the cuff right now. Excuse me. The detainees are to testify about legal access at Alligator Alcaraz. Yeah, that's not a very good sign for the Trump administration. Marco Rubio set to warn the future of future military action if Venezuela's new leaders stray from U.S. goals. Yeah, that's you're not serious. You are not serious. Secretary of State Marco Rubio plans on Wednesday today to warn that the Trump administration is ready to take new military action against Venezuela if the country's interim leadership strays from U.S. expectations. In prepared testimony for a hearing before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, U.S. says the U.S. is not at war with Venezuela and that the interim leaders are cooperating. But he notes that the Trump administration will not rule out using additional force if needed to following a raid to capture former president to kidnap the former president Nicolas Maduro earlier this month. We are prepared to use force to ensure maximum cooperation if other methods failed, Rubio will say. According to his prepared opening statement released on Tuesday by the State Department, it is our hope that this will not prove necessary, but we will never shy away from our duties to the American people and our mission in this hemisphere. He has often called to do this. Rubio, a former Florida senator, will aim to sell one of President Donald Trump's more contagious priorities to former colleagues in Congress, with the administration's foreign policy going in between the Western Hemisphere, Europe and the Middle East. Rubio may also be called to smooth alarm that has emerged in his own party lately about the efforts that Trump likes to demand to annex Greenland. In the hearing focused on Venezuela, Rubio will defend Trump's decision to remove Maduro to face drug trafficking charges in the US, which, by the way, they have no right to do so because that is a breach of international law, what they did. Continued deadly military strikes on boats suspected of smuggling drugs and seize sanctioned tankers carrying Venezuelan oil, according to prepared remarks. He will again reject allegations that Trump is violating the Constitution by taking such actions. Quote, there is no war against Venezuela, and we did not occupy a country, he will say, according to the prepared remarks. There are no U.S. troops on the ground. This was an operation to aid law enforcement. Congressional Democrats have condemned Trump's move as exceeding the authority of the executive branch, while most, but not all, Republicans have supported him as a legitimate exercise of presidential power. It's a breach of their power. It's a violation of international laws because, again, like if it's okay for America to do it, it's okay for China to do it to Taiwan. It's okay for Russia to do it to Ukraine. It's okay for other. It's okay if we wanted to. Let's say if we wanted to attempt a coup in Africa, it's okay for us to remove the leader of an African country. Like, where does it end? Where does it end? 3 months after rapidly scheduled arguments, the Supreme Court has yet to decide on Trump's tariffs. They're still sitting on the fence on this issue. They're still sitting on the fence on this issue. When the Supreme Court granted an unusual quick hearing over President Donald Trump's tariffs, a similarly rapid resolution seemed possible. After all, Trump's lawyers told the courts that the speed of the essence on an issue central to the president's economic agenda. They pointed to a statement from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warning that the longer a final ruling is delayed, the greater risk of economic disruption. But nearly 3 months have elapsed since arguments in the closing watch case, and the court isn't scheduled to meet in public for more than 3 weeks. They're kicking the can on this issue. No one knows for sure what's going on among the 9 justices, several of whom expressed skepticism about the tariff's legality at arguments in November. But the timeline for deciding the case now looks more or less typical. It could reflect the normal back and forth occurs just in the bigger cases, but almost all the disputes the justices hears. Several Supreme Court practitioners and law professors scoffed at the idea that the justices are dragging their feet on tariffs, putting off a potential uncomfortable ruling against Trump. I think that's it. They've had a long time to discuss this. They've had a long time to discuss this. They've had more than enough time to have discussions about the tariff issue. I think this idea that they are dragging their feet on the tariff issue. And the Supreme Court needs to be clear about this. And the thing is, a lot of them, or a lot of the Republican senators, are Trump appointees, and they don't want to upset the Orange Oath. That's generally what it is. Because they feel that they will go against their... I think some of them actually don't want... Some of them, the majority of them, I feel, know that what they're asking, that what the Trump administration is asking to do is too much here. Because obviously, for those who don't know, if the Supreme Court rules against Donald Trump on his tariffs, it means that all the threats that Donald Trump makes to countries about, trying to force deals and all that kind of stuff, all of that goes out the window. He loses he all of that goes out the window. All his power and presence, he just looks terrible. This is massive decision a Supreme Court needs to make, and every single day the Supreme Court delays this doesn't just hurt the UK economy, hurts the US economy, hurts the global economy, hurts all economies. And it's not good for the markets as well, because for the markets it's also uncertainty for them. It's not good. One thing markets do not like is uncertainty. And not having a decision on this does not help anyone. Doesn't help any economy. They need to get off their arse and make a decision. And they need to say it. I know they're obviously terrified of upsetting the Orange Oath, but they need to make a decision. Either they go with it and they either agree that the tariffs are lawful, which, by the way, they are not under US laws, in order to appease the Orange Oath, or they reject it because it's the right thing to do, because Donald Trump doesn't have the authority to impose tariffs without the approval, without the concession of Congress. Make a bloody decision. Stop sitting on the bloody fence on it. Because it's not helping anyone. Never mind just the US. The rest of the world economy and stock markets up and down the globe are not happy that they don't get... And that the Senate are sitting on this. It's not helping anyone. Trump's use of AI imagery pushes new boundaries, further eroding public trust, experts say. Yeah, I don't like Donald Trump using AI images. I also didn't like the fact that Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron were using AI images on TikTok, for their Top Guns picture that they posted. I didn't like that at all. Carney rolls his eyes at US Treasury Secretary, says he told Trump what he meant what he said at Davos. Yeah, what more needs to be said? He meant what he said there. This is I've not seen the footage, but this is outrageous here. A man was arrested after spraying unknown substance on a Republican Ilhan Omar at Minneapolis town hall. Yeah, someone trying to disrupt her speech. And guess what happened, right? After they apprehended her and removed the person, she carried on talking. Fair play to her, because the people are trying to silence her just because she's not a white American. Absolutely disgusting. Mum unable to save 3 sons who fell through the icy pond in Texas. What a terrible, terrible story. My absolute condolences. What a terrible thing. Cannot imagine what the mum was going through now. Absolute horrible story. CBS News chief Bassing West tells staff we're toast if they continue on the current path. A private plane crashes in India, killing a deputy's first chief minister and 4 others. Oh my God. Keir Starmer visits Beijing. Yep, we'll see what happens with that. Amazon is closing all Amazon Go and Amazon Fresh stores. Why are they doing that? That's a good... Why are they doing that? Amazon said it's closing all of its Amazon Go and Amazon Go locations as the online behemoth focuses on grocery deliveries, Whole Food Market, and a new supersized store concept. The Seattle-based online retailer said Tuesday in a blog that it plans to convert some of those soon-to-be shuttered locations into Whole Food Market stores. The company operates 57 Amazon Fresh stores and 15 Amazon Go stores. We've seen encouraging sites of Amazon-branded physical grocery stores. We haven't yet created a truly distinctive customer experience or the right economic model needed for large-scale expansion, the company said in the post. Amazon noted that customers can continue to shop Amazon Fresh online in available areas, fast and convenient delivery. The last day of operation at Amazon Fresh stores is February the 1st. So they're just changing it to something else there from the looks of it. Interesting. Here she's getting deported. Yeah, they've made that threat before. They also said Mandami was getting deported as well. Yeah, they still haven't done that. Still waiting for them to do that as well. Right, let's have a look and see what Al Jazeera is saying here. We will go to some UK news, guys, don't worry. The United Nations says Gaza's dire with children hardest hit by Israel imposed shortages. Yep, because they want to kill... Yep, they're still trying to kill off Gaza children as well as anybody within the Gaza Strip. Israel artillery shelling airstrikes continue across Gaza. Yep, and once again, nobody's doing anything about it. This was literally an hour ago. Literally an hour ago. Israeli fighter jets carried out 3 air raids on evacuated homes east of the central city of Deir al-Bashir in territory under Israeli military control. Remember, guys, there's a ceasefire. But don't worry, guys, there's still a ceasefire in place. Nearly 500 Palestinians in Gaza, including children, women, and the elderly, have been killed since the Hamas Israel truce came into force. Nearly 500, guys. Yeah? Nearly 500. But don't worry, guys. It's fine. There's a ceasefire in place, guys. It's okay. That's what Israel want to tell you. Israel's attacks on Gaza fertility clinics shatter dreams of parenthood. Absolutely vile. One family's daily struggle reflects alarming food shortages in Yemen. Yemen's not in a very good place right now as well. But they haven't been in a very good place for a long time, to be fair to them. North Korea asks Kim to outline plans to boost nuclear arsenal. Apologies for the yawning. I don't know what's wrong with me today. India curbs groceries and curbs grocery under 10 minutes, but riders might still fatally race. Top Turkish diplomat says Iran ready to negotiate, warns against US attack. Yeah, we kind of covered yesterday on Global News that they're ready, prepared, they're taking all necessary procedures there. Tech giant ASML announces record order of boost for AI boom. Oxfam is refusing to provide Israel with details of Palestinian staff in Gaza. Oxfam are standing up to it. So, yeah, they're not prepared to hand over that information. So, this is a story I've got. There's a story on Rumble that will drop on Friday with regards to this story, guys. So, essentially, charities working in the West Bank, working in Gaza, if they want to continue to work in those areas with Israel's approval, they have to provide all staff details, every single one of them. Their names, their dates, their relatives, all their personal records, they have to hand over to the Israeli authorities. And if they refuse to do so, they'll be allowed to work in those areas. That's what the charities have been told. One charity, there are some charities that have agreed to it, but as we can see here, the UK's founding charity will not give to Israel's demands, because it also puts their workers at risk as well. So, privacy information, they want that. They want that privacy. They want any information that they can have, any kind of reasonable excuses to stop them coming in. It's absolutely vile from Israel. Absolutely vile. Fears of conflict as South Sudan starves offensive against opposition forces there. At least 3 people killed in Russian attacks on Ukraine. We'll come to Ukraine in a bit. Stay away from the USS. Fans urged to boycott FIFA World Cup over Trump. Mother of all deals. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday on the Global News. The big India trade deal. Very fascinating piece there, that was. While neoliberalism can't build peace, because it doesn't work, it's for the few, not the many. That's I think that's another way of putting it there. We'll come to Kiev Independent in a second. We'll have a look at some UK news, because I know you guys want to have a look at some new UK news as well. Let me just refresh this here. Interesting headline here. So, Andy Burnham can become a Labour MP, but not until 2028, Starmer has suggested. So basically, yeah, this is their way of basically saying, yeah, finish your role as Labour Mayor, and then finish your time as Labour Mayor, and then you can consider running as an MP. Rayner return, ? Why Starmer cannot shake the leadership speculation? Because he's doing a shit job, that's why. Prime Minister lands in Beijing after China's trip will make UK richer and safer. Well, depends what you come back with from your time there. Labour launch attack video against Greens amid by-election fears. What did they say here? Green Party's explanatory tells the Independent Gordon identifies it's Greens versus Reform. Yep, it is. So is this their poster? Is that their poster there? I just saw there. The Greens and Lib Dems can't win this seat. They can win the seat. It depends. We don't know who the candidate is, but Zach Polanski's not running the seat, by the way, just for reference. Labour has launched a social media attack on the Green Party amid warnings from pollsters and MPs that Zach Polanski's party could win the Gordon and Denton by-election. 26th of February, Labour posted a video advert pleading with them not to turn their backs on the party and support the Greens. The post highlights polling showing that Labour is the closest to rivaling Reform in the constituency while attacking Green policies on legalising drugs. It comes as Keir Starmer warning that only Labour and not the Greens could stop Reform dividing the country, so he's prepared to fly to China. He said there's only one party that can stop Reform, and that's the Labour Party. Blah, 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 blah. We can see from the candidates' policies, But Labour MPs have privately briefed the Independents, say they expect the Greens to be beneficiaries of anger with Labour and a tactical anti-reform vote at the by-election, which was triggered when former Labour MP announced his resignation from Parliament. Any other things here? One Labour MP told the Independent, I will campaign very hard for us to win, but leadership has made it very hard for us. Another said, they want us to go and knock on doors, but we all know it is between the Greens and Reform. It's Calafili all over again. The Greens winning is actually the worst case scenario because it confirms our vote is going for them. Yeah, Greens winning would actually make Labour look really, really bad. It would actually look worse. I actually think that's true. The concern comes as Greens dramatically climb the polls. Professor Sir John Curtie told The Independent this could be a four-way fight between Labour, Reform, the Greens and George Galloway. The latter two will compete and could split the Muslim vote as they did in the seat in 2024, doing a lot of damage to Labour. Interesting. I can foresee the Greens winning. I do think it's worse for Labour because it identifies an English alternative to Labour on the left, which the SNP and Clive Cymru fulfil in Scotland and Wales. Mr. Polanski recently told The Independent that he wants the Greens to replace the Labour Party, but Labour is fighting back against this scenario with a new campaign video launched on Facebook and YouTube. In it, videos, voters are shown a New Statesman's... New Statesman! Okay. Britain predicts polls placing Labour in second behind Reform. What? This is the New Statesman. It's not like they're using Ipsos or YouGov, more reliable pollsters out there. Like, they're using a New Statesman one. As a desperate attempt to say, don't vote Green, you're wasting your vote. Desperation is what that is. Jesus. Labour is directing voters in this video, which will run as a non-skippable placement on YouTube. Yeah, he took a rattling, yeah. Too high on drugs and soft on Putin. Yeah. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Did they actually have the video? Yeah, I'm not going to go through the Independence advert bollocks there. I haven't seen the video, so I need to have a look at it, actually. Labour councillors make vile and racist remarks in a WhatsApp chat. Oh, look at this. An independent reporting it was into councillors who were members of a WhatsApp group, which led to the former Labour MP Andrew Gwynne being suspended from the pipe before leaving. Excuse me, Parliament. Oh, dear. Labour councillors made vile and racist remarks in a WhatsApp group chat that led to the sacking of the Labour minister who prompted the Gordon and Denton by-election, a damning report has found. The fallout from the comments made in the group called Trigger Me Timbers last February, so Andrew Gwynne was playing for the Labour Party, Now an independent report from Tamside Council by investigating Linda Comstein has conducted that 6 councillors in the WhatsApp group had shown complete disregard for standards in public life, including one judge to have made several remarks that a reasonable person would find racist. The findings will be a blow for Labour and come less than 4 weeks before the Gordon and Denton by-election expected there. Country's torn apart. Yeah, about Andy Burnham. The investigation into what consultations came after a formal complaint about Mr. Guarantine and other Labour figures making disgusting, racist, sexist, homophobic and vile comments. In total, 11 Labour councillors were suspended by the party over the revelations in February last year, but the investigation looked into 6 of them. Miss Gowen's wife, Councillor Alison Green, along with Councillor Brenda Warrington, George Newton, Claire Reid, Jack Newland and George Jones. Among the report finding that Mr. Nater made an anti-Semitic joke by changing the lyrics of an Elton song to "I guess that's why she hates all the Jews" in one set of exchanges about an unnamed person. In a statement, offers a full apology. You're not sorry because you wouldn't have typed such a disgusting... You're not sorry, bollocks to that. You're not sorry for saying such a vile thing. Meanwhile, Mr. Newton found to have persistently abused and degraded individuals by using remarks a reasonable person would find racist. He said he regrets his childish language. He told the investigation that remarks were meant as private jokes on a private messaging platform. Were meant as a private joke on a private messaging platform. Maybe you shouldn't have said them. I'm just saying, maybe you shouldn't have said such language. I'm just suggesting maybe you, whether it is private or not, as a politician out there, maybe you shouldn't say such things. You know, and if that's kind of your thinking and your mindset up here, maybe you shouldn't be into this kind of stuff. Charity worker, told Miss Conway that one elderly Labour supporter who was neurodivergent was left distraught after over being called a terrible name in a WhatsApp group. It was claimed that teenagers had since hounded him in the streets with the insult. People in the community feel there is no one that they can turn to. There is no local Labour council representing them and no Labour MP. They are too scared of having their coffee morning resources taken away or bins not empty. They have not been told if you do not vote for us, i.e. Labour, you will be dead. Apologise for the content of the group and the chap stepped down as MP citing health reasons. Yeah, it's not health reasons, obviously. We know the real reason. What else they got here? Pubs U-turn. Yep, we know about that. Let's have a look at the front of Independent here. Rail chaos and flood alerts continue. Yep, still absolute nightmare for people out there in some parts of the UK. Most of the, like I said, most of it's going to be dry today, so a chance for some of it to people be able to hopefully get some clear most of this storm. Cross fingers. Trump's man in London hits out at UK's clean energy deal, or screw you. Wholesale gas costs blamed for rising household energy bills. The remarkable number of toads being helped across Britain's roads. What exactly are they doing on Britain's roads exactly? I didn't know toads could fill potholes. Oh no, guys. Pornhub is to restrict access for UK users from next week. Oh dear. What a terrible thing. Oh my God. All those, so many Reform voters are going to be absolutely devastated, guys. They're going to restrict it even more. Absolutely terrible. Oh, what? How terrible for all those Reform voters there. They're going to be restricted even more from Pornhub. God help them, guys. God help them. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, let's have a look at the Kiev Independent, see what they are saying here, guys. I'm just going to give it a quick refresh here. Trying to get out of this anxiety attack, back to reality, that's what it is and all that shit. Yeah, take deep breaths, Mel. Just take deep breaths if you're feeling, remember to just take deep breaths every time, whenever you're feeling awkward. That's one thing that could just really help calm the nerves. It's just taking long, deep breaths. Yeah. Guys, talking about something else here, I think. I'm lucky my cat is so chilled out. He has his timeline every now and then. He gets zoomed, but bedtime is 10:30. And he only wakes me at 6 a.m, says Kirsty. Oh, so you don't have an alarm clock. You have a cat to do that, yeah. Yeah, I know, but they're taking Pornhub even further away from them. It's absolutely terrible. That's the thing. They were already restricted, I thought. I've already seen the story somewhere anyway, but basically what they're doing is they're going to make it even harder. They apparently the company they have made restrictions since the Online Safety Act, but they're being told they need to do more. Basically, the government has said you need to make it even more stricter. So they've said they've got to basically go further now. So yeah, I know. Absolutely, yeah. I don't know what it is. I haven't read the details, but that's my understanding of it all. Okay, very serious, guys. Let's talk serious here. Kiev Independent about what's happening in Ukraine. Casualties, damage to infrastructure reported as Russia launches missiles and drones at various regions in Ukraine. Daily occurrence. This happens. Daily occurrence, guys. Spain escorts a shadow fleet vessel sanctioned for carrying Russian oil, Reuters had reported. The Chariot Tide, formerly known as the Marbella Sun, was flying a Mozambique flag when its engine broke down on January the 2nd in international waters within Spain's search and rescue zone. Interesting. And Mozambique flag, yeah, they're lying obviously about who they are there. Casualties, damage to infrastructure reported as drone as Russia launches missile drones at various regions on Ukraine there. Russia loses in Ukraine more than any major power in any war since World War II, report says. That I believe. That I absolutely believe, because they don't value their citizens in any way, shape. Well, let me rephrase that. The Russian government and its leader and its dear leader Vladimir Putin does not value Russian people. It does not value its people in any way, shape, or form. Because if it generally did, it would not be throwing away so many needless lives in this pointless war. There. Basically, it's too expensive for them to perform age check. It's too expensive. It's not. It's not too expensive for them. If they're saying it's too expensive for them to perform age check, it means they're too lazy to do it. There's literally systems in place to do that. Like, do you know what? I'm glad you said that, Marty Von Erich, because like even before the Online Safety Act, like I know people. Like I've known people who've used OnlyFans, right? And they've always had a system in place to say that you cannot have an account on OnlyFans unless you verify who you are. They've always had that long before this Online Safety Act came in, OnlyFans. So, and Pornhub is one of the biggest adult websites in the world. For them to say that they can't do that, it's nonsense. They have the money. They can pay someone to do it for them. They just don't want to pay for it. That's just generally what it is there. So, if that is true, if that is the case. Really, really terrible. Russia losses in Ukraine more than any major power. Yeah, we just literally saw that story, sorry. Different paths of civil society. The chart of the week. The different paths of Eastern European civil society. Oh, what's this? Let's have a look at this. In Eastern Europe, global shifting orders have lived and experienced for decades. Just over 30 years ago, the end of communism and the retreat of Russian dominance paved the way for market economics and pluralistic society somewhat overnight. Since the rapid civil society, organizations that exist in the spaces between the ordinary citizens and the state have been integrated into the political, social, and cultural transformation across much of the region. But that fast-paced change has also been volatile, at times successful in bringing about positive change, and at others facing backlash. To shed some light on this story of civil society in Eastern Europe, the Kiev Independent spoke with Marina Popta, a professor of political science at McGill University and expert on the region. The conversation has been edited for clarity. So what is this? This is the different paths of civil society in Eastern Europe. Civil Society Participation Index. Hungary, Moldova, Poland, Romania, and Ukraine here. Ukraine has dipped since the 2000s. That's the Viktor Orban. That'll be Viktor Orban there. I don't know enough about the history of Moldova or Romania, so I can't really comment on them. But it looks like Romania's has dropped off a cliff since COVID. Ukraine has increased quite a bit. Yeah, 2014 they had a massive boom. I'm assuming that's when they was that when they had a pro-Ukraine leader? No, it was in 2019, wasn't it? Zelensky got elected, wasn't it? Wasn't it 2019? Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Poland has shot back up. That I believe it's because of Donald Tusk being elected. I think that's where it shot up from there, because they were dipping down because of the government there. Interesting though. Very interesting. Absurd Trump's border police project falls flat in Ukraine. Yeah, because you know, you've got Russia on there. Like, that's just all you need to say there. Mel says you need to send a photo of credit card or Kirsty. Most of them now, you need to you have to verify who you are. You can't just type in your age like you used to. You have to verify who you are, and there are third parties which they link to, where you have to show you, basically you have to let them take a picture of you, or share your passport or something like along those lines. Like, they have to see who you are before you can get into those websites now. And it kills a lot of it's killed a lot of the porn industry in the UK, because it was for a lot of them it was just a case of you type it and you go straight in, but now you can't do that. The Online Safety Act has stopped a lot of children getting access to that content, because there's this massive barrier that's been put in front of them now. Yes, I know people say about VPNs and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I think you know, it should be replicated if it's not replicated across other countries as well there. So it's a business after all. Yeah, it is a business after all. Yeah. The problem now is asking for a photo. Yeah, and a lot of them don't want to give their photo. And because you don't want to give your photo, well, you have no access. That's it. So, Hungary summons Ukrainian ambassador over election interference claims. Zelensky must be held accountable for complicity in Russia's war. What? Based on what? Hungary was summoned to the Foreign Ministry as Hungarian Foreign Minister accused Kiev of interfering in Hungary's upcoming parliamentary elections. Based on what? Based on what? Okay, I've got to see this. What based on? Accused of interfering in Hungary's... Today we summon the Ukrainian ambassador. We will not tolerate interference in Hungary's election, including Ukraine's attempts to influence the outcome of the intervening political favour of its... Storetko claimed that President Volodymyr Zelensky and Ukrainian government had engaged in an open, shameless, aggressive interference campaign in recent weeks. Was to influence the Hungarian election. And the Hungarian decision remained... Sigaro's comments echoed remarks by the Hungarian Prime Minister. On 24, accused Ukraine of Hungary. What's their evidence, though? Ukraine has not responded to the most recent claims. Foreign Minister Abdul Shabi reacted to early accusations, urging Hungarian officials to not be afraid of Ukraine, but of the Hungarian people. So they've provided no context. Wait, so Hungary have provided no context, but they basically just said, "Oh, the Ukrainians are interfering in our election." And it's like, what? Based on what? They've not provided any evidence. Where's their evidence here? Oh, absolute bloody nonsense. They're so afraid of going... The regime in Hungary are so desperate to avoid going towards Europe again. They really want to stick to Russia. They're desperate for it. Unbelievable. Russian drone strike on Ossetia kills 35 more, maybe under rubble. 3 people, colossal destruction. That was yesterday afternoon, that attack there. Public safety warnings issued after Russian drone strikes in Lviv Oblast oil terminal there as well. This was a few days ago. EU gives final approval to ban on Russian gas by 2027. As well there. Yeah, it is bullcrap. They've not provided any evidence. It's like Israel. It's like when Israel makes accusations and doesn't provide any concrete. It's absolute bollocks from Hungary. You know, it's just underhanded tactics. You know that to this year's elections, is it this year? I believe Hungarian elections or next year. It's huge, very, very important for their country. I'm very worried that they're going to rig the election. Orbán and his government are going to rig it in their favour. I generally don't. I don't think the Hungarian people are fully on board with their party. But I haven't been paying attention to Hungarian politics on a national level, so I can't say whether people are happy or not happy with their government. Let me just have a quick refresh at this. Centrist ideas no longer wanted in Conservative Party, says Kemi Badenoch. Party leader tells MPs that the One Nation Tories, doubting her right-wing direction, need to get out of the way. Kemi, like, you're losing. You're still losing. You're still losing so many politicians. I don't know. Like, I'm generally I really feel like, losing more politicians left, right, and centre. Don't get me wrong. Like, getting rid of Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick is a really good thing for the Conservatives. But I don't know whether if she's gonna be there. If she's gonna be there for all the way to the next general election. April the 22nd. Oh, April 22nd. Only a couple months. Yeah, a couple months. Just a couple of months away. It's gonna be interesting for sure. Labour risks election wipeout unless it improves Britain's high street studies fines. This is not a surprise. I don't think anyone should be surprised by this one here. Decay of town centres is a top issue among voters, especially Reform UK supporters, and is fueling resentment against Westminster. Labour will be washed away in a tired discontent at the next general election unless it tackles the decline of Britain's high street, a study as Warner's Guardian analysis lays bare the changing faces of town centres. Yeah, this is one thing that really pisses me off more than anything, is our lack of not looking after our high streets, looking after local businesses. Like, we are leaving them out in the dust. We are with the big businesses are fine, right? They're all doing okay. But it's the local businesses, the ones that have been there for 20, 30 plus years, right, on your high street, right? Those ones there, or 50 years or whatnot, who have disappeared. And I know from down the road, literally from where I live. I know from when I used to live in another part, not too far away from here as well. I've seen businesses that have been around for a long time and they've shut up shop. And yeah, they got damaged during the COVID, but they kept going. And they've just not had enough help. They've not had enough support. And I'm just talking about around London. And I'm sure you guys can speak for yourselves in some parts of the UK where you are. It's a lot worse in other parts of England. Obviously, I can't speak specifically for Wales, but people for Wales can speak for themselves there. And I don't think it's as bad in Scotland as it is here in England. I'm sure you guys can let me know in the comments. But I've said this before about how I've been to seaside towns with my partner and so many boarded up shops. I still remember, I can't remember where, I still remember that there was literally a Shoe Express and a Woolworths still boarded up. And we know how old Woolworths was. And they still hasn't been filled with anything. And you're like, what? Why? Why is nobody taking that slot? Why is there not a business in there or a charity shop or something? Our high streets are so important. Not everyone wants to buy everything online. Not everyone wants to go to Amazon. Not everyone wants to get their shopping online. People still want to go to the high streets. I hate seeing empty stalls. The town centre, the main town centre where I live, right? I literally went there yesterday, yeah, on my walk, guys. Instead of doing the usual walk in the park, sometimes I'll do a walk into the town centre, right, and have a look around and whatnot. And they are always looking to try and keep the shopping mall. They're always trying to get people to take up slots, right? But they've got one clothing department that was closed down years ago, and it's so massive that they still can't get someone to take it over. To be fair, Reganelite, it's not too bad in my local area. You have the odd one boarded up, says Viper Scott there. Yeah, the thing is like, I think it's a lot worse in rural areas. I think it's a lot worse in northern England, probably. But yeah, it does break my heart when I see them like that. There used to be a Barclays Bank many years ago down the road from where I live. And obviously a bank near where I am is you don't have them here. They're all in the main town centre now. But it's now a massive charity shop. And although I'm not a fan of having loads of charity shops, I don't like having too many charity shops. At least there's something there for people to go into. So research by the University of Southampton found people on that feel the high streets have declined more than any other part of the local area over the past decade as household brands collapse and shoplifting rose. By the way, guys, just for reference, in a few minutes we're going to switch over to Deputy Prime Minister's questions. So just at 12 o'clock, just to want to let you guys know. Improving shopping prisons was the third most important local issue for voters, behind good healthcare and reducing crime, according to polling conducted by YouGov. Reform Russian supporters are more likely than anyone else to say their area has significantly declined, underlying what researchers call deep sense of place-based resentment towards Westminster. Yeah, because if you're somebody who's been in an area for a very long period and you've seen your high streets decline, you're bound to feel resentment. Charity shops and bookies. Well, luckily for me, Peter, there's only been I think there's only been 2 bookies. There's only been 2 bookie shops down the road from where I am. There've been no new ones opened up, which is a good sign, which is good. But yeah, it depends where you are, obviously. Labour MPs say they're increasingly alarmed by the state of the high streets, for which many voters have become symbolic of whether their area is prospering. There's been a focus of business backlash over a significant increase to business rates in November's budget. In response to that anger, a business rate discount for pubs announced on Tuesday came alongside a promise of high street strategy, with a set of measures to be announced later this year. Treasury Minister Dan Tomlinson says, "We do understand it's a tough time for other businesses on the high street. Consumers have changed their habits, increasingly working from home and shopping online, and this trend continues to make it harder. So do something to protect the high street. Have a plan. Impose an online tax. Tax people for shopping online and encourage them to go onto the high streets. There's plenty of options you can do. Like, I know people will get mad about an online tax, but if it means getting people off their arse to go to the shop, maybe that's something they should consider. I know there's lots of people who say they can't go to the shops because of certain disabilities and that. And there should be exemptions, and that should be something that's towards consultation. And you don't need to point that out in the chat because we've had that conversation before. But something needs to be done to protect our high streets, especially the rural areas more than anything. We'll have to leave it there, guys, because we're running out of time. I wish I had more time to talk about it, but I just don't. Right, let's see if we can find a stream for Prime Minister's questions. Give me 1 second, guys. They do have it up. They do have it up. 1 second. Oh, good. BBC Parliament does have it up. Let me just mute it for now. Right, I'm just going to put that on in the background there. I'll put this on here. Right, Deputy Prime Minister questions will be starting any moment here, guys, just for reference here. We need to bin off money altogether. Let's just have utopian artisan-based society, says Mutty von Eric. Thanks for streaming. Got a bounce, love and sausages. Thanks, Mutty, for coming in. Appreciate it. If anybody's not interested in PMQs, that's totally fine. Appreciate you guys coming nonetheless. But I'm not gonna cover every single question. I'm literally gonna cover the main 6 questions and Data Cooper, and that's about it for this show, guys. Just for reference there. Regan, how's Ducky and the crew doing? They're okay. Yeah, Ollie's fallen off the lamp. They're okay. They're just kind of like, they don't really have a role right now because of the whole demonetization issue. So,
Question number 1, please, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, here
Deputy
we go, guys.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker.
All right,
Mr. Speaker,
David, let's see how you do.
On behalf of the Prime Minister who's visiting China and Japan. Mr. Speaker, yesterday was Holocaust Memorial Day, and for the first time, a Holocaust survivor, Marla Trivich, addressed Cabinet. I found her testimony profoundly moving, especially having recently visited the Majdanek concentration camp in Poland. We owe it to every survivor and to the 6 million Jewish people murdered in the Holocaust to never forget. We will build a national Holocaust Memorial and Learning Centre next to this Parliament so that the voices of survivors are never forgotten and their courage inspires future generations. Mr. Speaker, I know the thoughts of the whole House will also be with the family and loved ones of Captain Philip Gilbert Maldoni of the 4th Regiment Royal Artillery, who died on Sunday. We will never forget the courage, bravery and sacrifice made for our country by British servicemen and women. This morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to associate myself with the remarks of the Deputy Prime Minister on Holocaust Memorial Day and British servicemen. This week, the BBC and Good Morning Britain have reported of the national disgrace of out-of-control waste dumps, and for years, my constituents in Kirby have lived with one. People struggle to breathe, they're sick, they have to live with their windows shut and schools sometimes shut down for days. I've been campaigning on it with our Labour councillors, but the response from the Environment Agency has been slow and ineffective. So will the government work with me to sort this nightmare and stop the Simmonswood stink?
We covered in a video I think it was last week or the week before. You guys remember there was a video from Sky News that showed the pile of rubbish near a residential area, and their argument at the time is that they were clearing the other massive rubbish pile near the near Net motorway, which private companies were basically dumping the rubbish there as a means to be able to get rid of it, for other people. But there was this other pile near a waste facility, very near homes of people. And obviously they can't shut up and move homes because obviously of where they're living because of the stench, and it's very very unhealthy for them. And it's like, well, what's being done about this? Like, this is a major issue.
Deputy Prime Minister.
I thank my honourable friend. The government will work with her. The situation she describes is unacceptable. People are right to be furious. The Environment Agency are taking action to prevent further dumping, and we're giving them more powers and resources to crack down on fly tipping. I'll make sure that ministers keep her updated of their efforts. And speaking of garbage, Mr. Speaker, I note Reform's spring cleaning of the party opposite is continuing this week. The leader of the opposition says the Conservative Party is full of unwanted rubbish. The public worked that out long ago and got rid of them, Mr. Speaker.
Shadow Secretary of State, Andrew Griffiths.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I start by echoing the Deputy Prime Minister's comments about Holocaust Memorial Day? We must never forget. May I also associate this side of the House with the condolences expressed by the Deputy Prime Minister to the family of Captain Philip Gilbert Maldoni.
Remember, they obviously don't. But don't worry, guys. It's not like they care about Palestinians who die every single day over in Gaza. But let's not talk about that, guys. I treat all losses of life as terrible things, and what happened on the Holocaust Day was absolute tragedy. But what's happening every single day in Gaza at the hands of the IDF and Israel should not be forgotten either.
I also offer the condolences of the House to the family of Lord Flight, one of my predecessors in Arundel and South Downs. He served in Parliament with distinction for more than 2 decades. Mr. Speaker, after the Chancellor's U-turn yesterday, can the Deputy Prime Minister confirm that over 90% of retail, hospitality and leisure businesses will get nothing?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, can I welcome the Shadow Business Secretary to the dispatch box and join him? I remember Lord Flight well when I arrived in this House. It's always a pleasure to hear from the co-author of the mini-budget.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
And the man who said that Liz Truss has the best plan to deliver for voters. Remember that?
Oh dear.
Of course, all of us want to see our pubs in good health and to support hospitality. That's why the Chancellor announced a £4 billion package of support. But yesterday, in addition, business rates for pubs and music venues will be cut by 15% this year and frozen for the next 2 years, and will review the methodology for valuing pubs in the future. I must say that contrasts with the party opposite, who of course saw 7,000 pubs closed under their watch.
Griffiths.
Yeah, people forget that.
Mr. Speaker, he wants to talk about experience. I spent 25 years building businesses, creating jobs. He spent 25 years manufacturing grievance. And if the party opposite knew anything about business, they would know this is too little too late. Our high streets, their high streets, are bleeding out, and the Chancellor's handing out. They don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear
We literally just read about how our high streets are doing really bad right now as well.
this, Deputy Speaker. Our high streets are bleeding out, and the Chancellor's handing out a box of sticking plasters. They can't even U-turn properly. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a senior advisor. Mr. Speaker.
He can't even get this guy's bloody useless. He getting his deputy speaker and speaker mixed up. Jesus Christ! And look, at least David Lammy so far seems okay. This guy seems well out of whack.
Mr. Speaker, a senior advisor to Andy Burnham said yesterday the Chancellor just wants a cheap headline. Meanwhile, our high streets are being decimated. He's right, isn't he?
Lovely Prime Minister.
I've got to say, Mr. Speaker, he talks about business. We know what his plan for business is. This is the man who opposed the minimum wage and said it was, quote, simply something that legislators pass to make themselves feel good. Well, let me tell him, raising the minimum wage doesn't make us feel good. It changes lives. And Labour's proud of how we're supporting small business. And on small business, creating hospitality zones to cut red tape, greater licensing freedoms, very important, and tackling late payments. All of that supporting business. That's a heart cry to what small business saw before.
Mr. Speaker, you don't make young people better off by putting them out of work. Mr. Speaker, his MPs are already banned from pubs. Where next? Shops, restaurants, hair salons. That may not make a difference to him or I, but for many of them...
That's a good one. That's a good one.
They should back our plan to scrap business rates, but they haven't got the backbone to cut welfare to pay for it. And it's not just business rates, Mr. Speaker. Under them, the cost of hiring is up. So could he tell the House how much more does it cost to hire a 21-year-old under Labour?
Deputy Prime Minister.
He talks about young people. The party opposite left a shameful legacy. 1 in 8 young people not earning or learning when they left office. We're investing a record amount in apprenticeships, which they had on its knees. We're creating talented excellence technical colleges for our young people, and Alan Bilman is doing a review on young people who are currently out of work. By contrast, they would freeze the minimum wage, oppose giving young people an increase. They've got nothing to say for the next generation.
Mr. Speaker, you can feel the Deputy Prime Minister's frustration. The Prime Minister's away, the Business Secretary's away, and here he is, left behind Lammy, the designated survivor, having to defend the indefensible.
look, I'm just not feeling this guy at all. Like, I just feel like it's like, I know David Lammy's not answering the questions, guys, but I just feel like this guy is just, his words are so hollow. It's like, I'm not feeling this guy at all. Like, at least Kemi has a way of it. I'm not feeling this guy at all. Just
and
it's
very clear. It's very clear. He doesn't know the answer, Mr. Speaker. So let me tell him. The cost will be up £3,600 a year. Under Labour, businesses can't afford to hire. 1 in 6 young people can't find a job. This government is blocking people who just want to get on in life. People, Mr. Speaker, ambitious people like Andy from Manchester, having his dreams crushed by Labour. So could the Deputy Prime Minister explain why unemployment has gone up almost every month they've been in office?
Check his fact. 500,000 people in work more than a year ago under us. The Shadow Business Secretary is in no position to lecture anyone about U-turns, by the way. This man was Boris Johnson's net zero business champion. Now he opposes the renewable investment, creating jobs and opportunities right across the country.
Andrew Griffiths.
Mr. Speaker, the thing he didn't want to say is that every Labour government leaves office with unemployment higher than when they arrived. And there's a reason for that. They don't understand what it takes to be an employer. They don't understand business. They're strangling business with their red tape, and they're about to make things infinitely worse. So will he tell us his government's own estimate of the cost to business of the Unemployment Act?
He says they're about to make things worse. If Keir Starmer has a good trip in Beijing that could benefit the UK and China, isn't that a good thing? Like, how would that make things worse? Like, sorry, I'm struggling to buy what this guy is selling, you know. I'm no fan of David Lammy, for the record.
Prime Minister.
I'm going to take no lectures from...
All he needs to say is this: I'm sorry, Kemi, but if you're going to put someone in who was a part of Liz Truss's cabinet team, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot here. She should have picked someone else here. Sorry.
You on business. My father was run out of business under the Thatcher government. I know what it's like.
Even Priti Patel would have been better at that dispatch box than this guy, and that says a lot.
To grow up under a Tory government. And whilst we're talking about it, 26 Tory MPs and counting have already defected to reform, and now they're all counting down, Mr. Speaker, because today is 100 days until the Tory transfer window slams shut. It's going to be the longest and most disloyal transfer saga since Sol Campbell left Spurs.
Oh, that's a funny one.
And the member for Clapton, I don't know where he is, has signed 3 white wingers in the past fortnight.
Andrew Griffiths.
Oh.
Thank you. I don't know what's in his head, Mr. Speaker. It's our party that is getting stronger, and overnight,
our party is getting stronger. My good God almighty, this is comedy. Dear oh dear.
Well, overnight, Mr. Speaker, we learned that the former Deputy Prime Minister has got 80 names. On Sunday, we learned that the Health Secretary's allies claimed that he's got 200 names, and oddly, 50 of them want the Mayor of Greater Manchester, who's not even in this MP. Mr. Speaker, they're supposed to be running the country, and once again, small businesses across this country will see that he didn't answer the question. So I'll tell him, £1 billion a year. That is the burden to businesses of their bill. So there we have it, Mr. Speaker. They've no answers for small business. There's no relief coming. They don't care about high streets. They don't care about hotels, restaurants, farmers.
They don't care about hotels. They're literally moving asylum seekers out of hotels into military bunkers. That just doesn't fly. They're literally doing that. It's being reported. What the hell? I thought Lee Anderson going to the wrong constituency was going to be a shoo-in for Max Robespierre's Fool of the Week. But I think we've hit our new... I think this guy might have pipped him to it with that line of "we are getting stronger."
Or young people. Won't the Deputy Prime Minister admit what the members behind him are thinking? That it's not the Prime Minister going to China that's the problem, it's the fear that he might come back.
Blimmin' heck, that was terrible.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, he's not going to get this gig again, is he? Let's face it.
Jesus Christ! That's so brutal! That's so good. Oh my days. That's brutal. You're not getting the gig again. That is awful. Oh, that is really bad. That is really bad. When you get said that, Jesus, that's bad. That's really bad. Oh dear.
Mr. Speaker,
Oh dear.
I've set out our position very clearly. This was the week when the leader of the opposition told Desert Island Disc that Britain needs to learn to queue again. And Tory MPs have taken her quite literally. They're lining up outside the member for Clacton's office while they squabble about the damage that they did to our country. Labour this week is capping ground rents, cutting the cost of living and rebuilding our public services. That's the difference a Labour government makes, and there's much more to come.
David Lammy did not need to do a lot here. He wasn't brilliant in any way, shape or form, but he had his lines and he just needed to give them. This guy, I don't even know what the guy's name is, someone will tell me, but he cannot be in that position again. Like, they need to get someone else. Like I said, Priti Patel may be vulgar, but she would be a hell of a lot better than that guy. Absolutely. And don't trust me, I'm no fan of Priti Patel, but she would have been a hell of a lot better. I'm gonna go out a limit. I even think Chris, the Shadow Transport Secretary, Chris Twaddle there, would have been better than that guy. He would have been better. I mean, I know he's a bit off his head with whatnot, but the other thing, even he would have been better.
Mr. Speaker, Elmore Hall School is a fantastic multi-site provision supporting over 200 of County Durham's vulnerable young people with social, emotional and mental health difficulties. Their PAC site in Durham caters for 20 key stage 4 pupils, but SAN provision in Durham is at crisis point. With an extra school site and PAC extension, Elmore could offer more young people opportunities to thrive locally, saving thousands in costs for alternative provision and taxis. Will the Deputy Prime Minister arrange for the DFE Minister to visit the PAC site? And will they work with me to support the urgent need for additional school facilities and PAC accommodation so young people in Durham can access the education they deserve closer to home?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend. We're focused on fixing the SEND system so every child, wherever they live, has the support that they need to thrive. And we will continue our national conversation on reforms. We're also boosting investment into SEND. That includes 200 million to roll out more training for teachers and over 100 million for Durham County Council. I'm sure a minister would be happy to meet with my honourable friend and visit the site at the earliest opportunity.
Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Daisy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of my party, may I join with the Deputy Prime Minister in marking Holocaust Memorial Day, We Will Not Forget, and also honouring the service of Captain Philip Gilbert Muldowney, who died on Sunday. Mr. Speaker, whilst the Chinese regime still holds British citizen Jimmy Lai captive in prison, and whilst the Chinese regime continues to hunt down pro-democracy protesters on the streets of Britain with bounties on their heads, the British Prime Minister has gone cap in hand to China to ask for a trade deal on the promise of a super embassy from which the Chinese regime will continue to spy on us. The Chinese regime remains undeterred in its illegal actions against the UK and our citizens. So can I ask the Deputy Prime Minister to name one single consequence that the Chinese regime will face if they do not stop their campaign of espionage and repression?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, China matters, and ignoring them would be a dereliction of duty.
I do think, yeah, that she... Obviously, I'm not familiar with the person that's been imprisoned that she is aware of, but they should be addressing that issue as soon as possible. Is she absolutely right about the espionage and about surveillance that China has in the UK? Absolutely. Is that happening here? Yes. Is it happening in America? Yes. Is that kind of stuff happening across the world by China? Absolutely. Should we be concerned about that? Yes. Do I agree with the super embassy? Hell no, I don't agree with the super embassy. But do I think, yeah, we should be looking to secure a trade deal with China regarding all these things? Yes, because regardless of how I feel about China, and I'm sure many of you guys feel the same way, we're not in a very good position right now. Our economy is really bad, and we all know why. We all know why we're in this situation. And we can't trust the United States. And I don't know what kind of deal, I don't know what's going to happen when it comes to the reviewed agreement that we have with the European Union. But China's one of the biggest economies in the world, and it would be beneficial to us. I'm not happy about I'm not happy about some of the things that China does. I'm not taking away some of the things that they have done. But when you are in a position of power, like the British government is, there is an importance of trying to maintain and make people's lives better. But sometimes, and I hate to say this, guys, sometimes you have to put morality aside for the benefit of the many. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I also understand why the government are doing this. I totally understand where Daisy Cooper is coming from. And I totally understand why people feel like this. I really do. But I also know that securing any kind of trade deal with China is very important for the UK as a whole.
We will build a consistent, long-term and strategic approach grounded in reality. I set that out in the China audit statement I made a few months ago. And that is what our allies do. President Trump, Macron, Chancellor Merz, Prime Minister Carney, all are visiting and engaging. We'll cooperate where we can, and I'm sure in areas like climate, she would expect us to cooperate, and we will challenge in areas where we disagree. That's the way that we deliver for the public of this country.
Daisy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I note the Deputy Prime Minister could not name one single consequence if the Chinese do not stop their espionage and repression. Mr. Speaker.
Twice today.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Prime Minister has responded as if the world has not changed. With Russia waging war in Europe, with the Chinese hunting protesters and pro-democracy protesters on our streets, and with President Trump undermining NATO and the rules-based order which keeps us safe, we have got to act with urgency to strengthen our alliances with trusted allies in Europe and the Commonwealth, and we have got to ramp up defence spending now. Can I ask the Deputy Prime Minister, will he consider as a first step the Liberal Democrat plan to issue defence bonds to raise £20 billion in the next 2 years in order that we can rebuild our armed forces and give British savers the opportunity to invest in the defence of our nation?
The Prime Minister.
I've got to say, I've been here long enough to remember when Labour left office, 2.5% we were spending on defence, and when they were in government with them, they cut it.
Kind of wanted a bit more of a long-winded answer, but we didn't get that there, guys. We didn't get that there. Like I said, I'm not going to cover the rest of the questions there because it's David Lammy. I did say that. However, I will say, obviously, I thought Daisy Cooper's question was very fascinating indeed, especially with regards to the situation with China. And again, I understand where she's coming from, and I'm sure you guys agree with me too. But I also know that in the situation right now is not very good for us. And I think I don't expect Keir Starmer to come away with a brilliant deal or anything like that. But obviously, Mark Carney came away with China with something, and hopefully the UK will too, for our benefit there. As for the 6 questions itself, I just thought the Conservative guy, whatever his name is, he was useless. He was shit. He said things that he shouldn't have said. He was far, 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 far worse than Kemi Badenoch. I've heard some dumbasses at the dispatch box. This guy, you know, he was all over the place. And you can some people can argue that it was his first time on it, which you can be, but you know but that's why you have to practice. You have to practice in front of a mirror for hours on end. I just don't think his tone was right. I just don't think the language he was using was right. And I think some of the things he said just didn't work for me. So it's not really one to remember, is all I'll say here, guys, is what I will say. But thank you guys who did stay for those questions anyway. We did get a laugh out of it, I will say. At least we got a bit of a laugh out of it there. I will say that, guys. So a reminder: I will put a post. I'll put a post up in a moment, guys, before I have lunch. A reminder: tonight, myself, Daily Blase, will be on Van Man Talks YouTube channel at 8 o'clock. We're going to be not really talking so much politics. We've got some other discussions we're going to be talking about. So I'm looking forward to it as well. So. But also next month, guys, there will be the round table next month in February the 26th. Yeah, February 26th. I'll have Mikey Famine from the Bin podcast, as well as Van Man Talks and Daily Blase for that show next month. So that's going to be coming up next month as well. But if you can join us tonight at 8 o'clock on Van Man Talks YouTube channel, feel free to do so. But thank you guys all for coming along. Thank you guys for all your comments. Thank you, Rosemary, for the coffee. Today. I really appreciate that. All these small bits really do make a massive difference and supports me in the work that I do here. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. But guys, on your way out, if you can for me, please hit that like button, share us across social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Rumble and Patreon for content on those platforms as well. And I hope to catch you all very, very soon.